Hello, welcome back to Diary of a Creator. So today I want to talk about clarity and clarity of direction, which is obviously a really key block for a lot of people, and no doubt is going to happen to you on your journey. And I'm going to talk about some of my experiences around it as well. And really, the purpose of today's video is to leave you feeling more at peace with the not knowing. And I'm going to go into what I'm talking about on that, and some tools to really recalibrate and start learning how to lead with the heart. Because there is only one place for true clarity, as in the clarity of this is what I'm here to do, this is what's going to fill me, this is the path of freedom, fulfillment, joy, and that is our heart. Now, the catch is that the heart doesn't like to be rushed, it doesn't like to be forced, it has no timelines, and it certainly doesn't like to be controlled. And this is where a lot of people come a little bit unstuck at, depending on where you are in the journey, if it's clarity on what you actually want in the end versus clarity of moving towards it, which are two different things where people can experience it. But our natural tendency when we don't have clarity is, so we don't know where we're going, we don't know how to do something, we tend to want to force the answer. So what we're seeking, like, just need to know. We put timelines on it, we put force, we put restriction, we start looking outside of us, all of this panic because we don't want to be in this lack of clarity. But these actions aren't actually going to give us any clarity. It's actually just going to give us a wad of confusion. And really, the key thing to know with this is clarity through the heart, and what we actually truly want requires time to receive the clarity, not to force the clarity and not to kind of push into it. Because if you find yourself in this frustration around lacking clarity, and naturally that will breed a bit of a fear tension within, that fear tension is going to make you try and reach out, clutch out, and look for all these different ways of like directions you can take. The issue with that is it's predominantly coming from your fear-based mind, which is only ever going to know how to look for clarity the way that you've looked for clarity before, which is why it's so frustrating, because it's just not going to work. It's not going to cut it. And welcome to my struggles, because at the beginning of the journey, when I didn't know what direction I wanted to take, my journey started off with career. It was very like, I want my purpose. That's where it started. I went round and round and round and round and round and round in circles, looking for answers, but it was all outside of me at this point. I was just looking for different career paths, really logicking, based on my skill sets and all of this. And needless to say, it got me really nowhere until I parked it. And then I started doing the inner work and the journey to tune back in with myself. And it was only when I went through that journey and got to that space that I actually started to receive the clarity. Now, it's interesting because there were clues along the way that were there. And when I had those clues and I go back in time, I thought I had no clarity, but I actually did. It's just that I wasn't trusting and leaning into the journey. I was trying to control the journey, which is the thing. Now, fast forward to where I am now, where I know where I'm going at the end, but I don't know how I'm getting there. And that for me has been a massive tension point, where I go into these cycles of I just need to know, I need to know, I need to know, which is all clarity is. It's like I need to know, but you're not always going to know. And so since diving into like full into alchemy and creation, and really relearning how to create a life from the heart, clarity has actually been very difficult for me to get. And I've been forcing it and pushing and wanting the answers now. And really, all my ego or fear has been trying to do is do what it used to do, which is map out from A to B. I'm going to be all of these steps. And yes, I'm comfortable with that. Oh, okay, I can breathe. I feel secure. I know where I'm going. You don't know that. You know where your end is, but this middle part is ultimately leaning into the trust that you're going where you need to go, but you're not really going to be able to see where you're going exactly. And this is where I've really, when I get into these moments, and sometimes a moment in your journey can be to pause and to slow down, and it can be purely about doing nothing, which is so uncomfortable for the ego. It's just like, well, no, I've got to keep moving forward. It's this. And when I get into these moments where I cannot get the clarity, which might feel familiar, I start having a meltdown, and then I think I've got it wrong. I start to question my direction. Oh my God, I've gone the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. Have I got this right? And that's the other big element that comes in the way of clarity, is us doubting and not trusting ourselves. This fiddles more with clarity than anything. It's the doubt, because you might actually find that you do know where you roughly are going. Might be a vague vision that you have, but there's still something there. It's the doubt and the lack of trust, which is often what pulls us back. And then we go into this, well, at least I do, just go into this overwhelmed state. And then I just don't know where to go. But it's not that I don't know where to go. My soul knows where I'm going. It's just that my fear has got in the way and starts doubting it, and then just wants to clutch and try and be like, okay, we need to know everything about this. And the truth is, you're not going to. So, where we really are when we're feeling like we're lost, we don't know where we're going, like those, we feel like we have no clue where we're going. But I want you to really sit and to question this, because you might find that you do have a bit of clarity, and that your doubt and your fear is actually what's kind of trying to pull you off course. So even if you know vaguely where you want to go, vaguely is okay. You don't need to know all of the details. Perhaps you're not meant to know all of the details. And that's the other thing, is we're not in control of the timing, and we need to trust and know that we kind of move through it as we're meant to. And so you don't really need to know all of the details. You just need to feel into what that vague vision that you might have for now feels like, and see what it feels like. You might have multiple paths. Explore them. Just by explore them, I mean sit in them, and feel into them and see what they look like. And at the end, what would it be, and what would it give you, and all of these different things. Experiment with it and start to lean in. And as I was saying before, you might think you've got no clarity, but you do, because there was a point in my life when I was still in a master's degree back about 4 years ago, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I did an assignment through that master's, and I would have left that master's and be like, oh, I still don't know, haven't quite landed on it. And I wrote at the end of this assignment this sentence. Fast forward to now, and that sentence was actually bang on with what my end results and visions are. But I didn't, there wasn't a trust there, because I was like, okay, but how, like, how am I going to do that? And that doubting is what, if you think of like where you're going and where you are now is like an energy line. If you start to doubt, it kind of like almost cuts it a bit, and you can't see it, and you're just, the lack of, like, the trust starts to come in. And so really just sit with those vague ideas, sit with all of the ideas you've got, and just feel into them. And then really where we need to get to is a place where, instead of forcing the clarity, we receive the clarity. And to do this, we need to start strengthening our connection within, our connection to our intuition, our connection to our heart, to our joy, and making this a priority, because this is the energy in the space where we will receive. And from this space, then we ask for the clarity, the direction, and then we wait, which is hard. And I don't like waiting. This is a challenge for me. But it's almost like a game of chess. You need to let the universe, if you don't know where you're going, you need to put it out, open up to all the possibilities, and let the universe make the next move. And it will. It might be subtle, and it probably is going to give you like the next step. It's not going to like give you the whole map, which really pay attention to that, and our driver to kind of really almost need to pull into that. But that is that is the place to start, is strengthening that time, that inner time within, strengthening your connection to your own inner voice as well, and just doing that for the sake of that. And then asking for the clarity to show, waiting to see, and also playing with the vision. So nothing's set in stone, just see how they all feel, just start to kind of experiment in it. And I'm going to drop a link to an article that I wrote for the Brains magazine, which talks to quite a few of these strategies as well for this connection, which is going to be key. And there's a heart guided meditation as well to really start to kind of come into that. So I'm going to pop this at the end of this video in the description. And really just to leave it is when we are actually coming from the fulfillment and the freedom and the purpose, and we're stepping into more of what the soul and the heart wants, you can be crystal clear on your end result. And it's certainly, there is a need for that. As I said, it can start off vague and then you build as you go, but you are never going to be clear on how you get there. Because if you are clear on how you get there, then you're not following your heart. It's really, that's the key telltale sign. If you're following your heart, you're going into the unknown, and you will lack clarity, and you will face this tension of, I don't know where I'm going. And in many regards, you kind of don't know where you're going. That's the beauty of it, because I've already used it in another video as the quote of, you surrender to the current of the river, you don't push against it. And often when we come into these spaces of lacking clarity, it's because we're forcing and we're pushing, and it's not working, and it never will work. And know that. And so, as I said, this is about understanding the peace that comes with breathing, knowing that you're supported, knowing that it is going to work out, it is going to lead you eventually to where you need to go. And notice and pay attention to when you feel the fear in that, because that is your fear. That's your ego. It's really trying to clutch on because it doesn't know. It wants to know. It's going to be like, I need to know. I need the clarity now. It's very time pressured, very rushed, which has literally come up for me today. I'm just trying to rush through something. It's like, slow the fuck down. And that's the difference. And so lacking clarity is almost part and parcel of the journey of the how. You can be clear on where you're going. How are you going to get there? I'm afraid you're going to have to release that. And I'm still working on that, battling my fear every day of like, oh, this feels really big and I don't know how this is going to happen. But knowing that it will happen, maybe not in the way that I want it to, but it will. So anyway, I hope that has helped with clarity. And as I said, head to the article, because that's going to give you a lot more detail into what I'm talking about, where spend time connecting within. And this is the space where we receive the clarity. We do not force the clarity, we receive it.